Good evening. My name is Josh Wright, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about a Civil War artillery shell called the Schenkl. This was used by the Union troops and was invented by John P. Schenkl of Boston, Massachusetts. I'm going to make 3 points about the shell tonight. The first, I'm going to talk to you about the design. The second, I'm going to talk to you about why Union troops love this shell. And the third, what the inventor, John P. Schenkl, had in common with Colonel Sanders from KFC. First, the design. This shell is a rifled projectile, which means it was fired from a cannon with rifling on the inside. Rifling is essentially spiral grooves cut into the barrel that gave the shell a rotational spin as it flew. This is the same concept that a quarterback uses to put a spin on a football. The spin on the ball makes it stable in flight, keeps it going straight, and makes it very accurate. The design challenge that Schenkl had to overcome was that Civil War artillery had cannon that was muzzle loading, which means you fit the projectile down the barrel and you shot it out the same end. This means that it had to be small enough to fit easily down the barrel, but when it was fired, it had to expand instantly to catch the rifling and make it spin. Schenkl solved this challenge by putting a papier-mâché sabot around the end of the projectile. And this sabot, when it was fired, the paper instantly expanded because of the force of the gases and made it spin as it left the barrel. Very accurate, very effective, had a range of over a mile, and was still very accurate at that range. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about today is why Union troops love this shell. Armies in the Civil War really valued cannon. They were highly prized, and you never wanted to put your cannon in a position where it could be captured. Because of this, they often put their infantry in front of their artillery to protect it, which means the cannon was often fired over the heads of your own troops. Every other projectile in the war had a metal sabot, and it was not uncommon for these sabots to fly off during flight. This presented a very dangerous situation for when you were firing over the heads of your own troops, because oftentimes those sabots ended up hurting your own troops. Schenkl's design had a sabot made out of paper. It disintegrated almost instantly when it left the barrel. This made it completely safe to fire over the heads of your troops, which is why they loved it. The third thing I'm talking to you about tonight is what Schenkl had in common with Colonel Sanders of KFC. Both men were inventors. They both had secret recipes. John P. Schenkl had his recipe for his paper sabot. Colonel Sanders had the recipe for his 11 herbs and spices. Colonel Sanders eventually wrote his down, and the paper that he wrote on is now in a vault in Louisville, Kentucky. Schenkl wasn't so lucky. He died unexpectedly in his mid-40s, halfway through the war. As hard as his employees tried to replicate what he had done, they couldn't do it. The last batch the U.S. Army bought was actually condemned because the sabots wouldn't work. So what was the most effective and loved Civil War artillery projectile of the war fell out of favor in the last 2 years, and the government didn't purchase anymore. So in summary, Schenkl's design was extremely innovative, very safe, but the lesson is that as an inventor, you need to make sure you have a succession plan in place to make sure your invention outlives yourself.